When we talk about data, um, data can be considered from based on different data sources. So there are various sources in our industrial databases which we can focus and collect data from. So we can focus on the processes which are documented and giving us a kind of information with regard to the tasks. And by knowing the process and the tasks, we can identify what are the competencies to conduct those tasks, in fact, and to achieve the goals that we have defined in each step of the task and process that we have. So this is what we call it process task competency analysis, in fact. But there are other sources. So you are looking on the trends, on the technological trends, on the trends that you have in the market, on the trends that you have with regard to your customers. You may capture this data through the internet, through the social media, through the analysis of your customers' demands, through the analysis of the work orders that you get in your company, and so on, and looking at the technological innovation curves. If you are an early adopter, to see that, okay, how new technology like the 5G will be introduced in the workplace, and what are the competencies, for example, we need for that. So these are a set of tools that we have defined. And I would say that one of the tools which is more related to the data, directly looking at the data, especially the textual data that you have, because 80% of mostly in the companies of documentations are text. We will talk about it in the next minutes with my colleague Linus Kohl. But beforehand, let me show you another tool that we have developed in the last years, and this is also related to the data, but in another sense of the capturing of the data, not using the data science methods, but using the questionnaires and the methods that we have for assessing the maturity of the maturity level of the competencies that we have in the company. This is so-called DigiCom, a digital competency maturity model, have been developed in the Fraunhofer Austria over the past years. And this is exactly to fill the gap in the digital maturity models that we have developed over the past years. And several others are still available in the market, and mostly are related on the assessment of the maturity level of the companies and each department of the companies in certain areas under the topic of digitalization. And here we are focusing on the competences. We see that what are the technologies are introduced into the processes that we have in the company. Therefore, we are doing a kind of as is a maturity assessment, first of all, a kind of a self-assessment by the companies, answering several questions into the certain level of details with regard to the certain softwares which are incorporated, certain digital technologies that are incorporated. And then we are doing in the next step a kind of a competency report. This is based on the self-assessment in the companies and the workshop that we are organizing for that. And then the next step would be that, okay, there are certain level of maturity in certain areas. What are the target maturity that we have? If we go, for example, with regard to the use of AR in different departments that we have in the company. And then for this, we need to make the analysis and identify what are the missing competencies for which level of experience of our staff, with the senior, junior staff that we have. And then what are the levels that we want to achieve in which department? And then what are the measures and action fields that we are defining for that? Handling measures at the end of the day will be provided. And this is a process, a step-by-step process that we are guiding our partner companies and making this happen together in this step-by-step process. So this is an introduction into the overall introduction into the main tools that we have. And of course, I would be glad to discuss more in details in the discussions and in the next appointment that we get together to dive into the details. But I think what makes it more interesting, our today's session, is the most innovative solutions that we have developed over the past years. And this is more related to the database competency profiling. And for this, I would like to give the word to my colleague, Linus Kohl.
Thank you very much, Fazel. Yeah, we have to ask ourselves and our enterprise partners, How do they react towards using data for human resource management? And there are two main questions we are asking our enterprise partners. We ask them, do you have the databases for improving human resource management? And are you willing to make it happen? And obviously, there are four types of enterprises here. There's type A, where enterprises which have the databases for such database human resource management, and they are willing to make it happen. There's type B, they do have the data, but are not willing to make it happen. There is type C, they do not have data, but are willing to make it happen. And there is type D, they don't have data and are not willing to make it happen. But we are focusing on companies where they are willing to make it happen. Either they have the data or they don't have it. So our goal is to make data-driven competency profiling work in your enterprise. And therefore, we developed a methodology. With this methodology, we are able to detect the competency gap in your job holder profile in the context of task, competence, and job. But let me start with the job itself. All of us have a job with certain requirements and roles. And as we all know, especially for example, in the shop floor, each job consists of processes and processes consist of tasks. So there's a direct connection from the task you have to fulfill through processes to the job. We call this the world of work. And there is the world of education. All of us probably got their job because of their competencies they hold. And we all know we can only fulfill a certain task if we have the competences for this task and the skills. And competence and skill all require knowledge. And the competences qualify us and enable us to hold a certain job. And as you can see here, the world of education and the world of work and the job holder profile meet in the triangle of job, competence, and task. And this is our so-called matching space, where we are able to detect a competency gap between the job role and profile, the tasks the person holding this job has to fulfill, and the competences which are available. From this rather theoretical methodology, I want to give you a practical example from an industry-funded project with Infineon. Infineon is a semiconductor manufacturer, and the project is called TexCom, Text-Based Competency Profiling. As before, on the right-hand side, we have the task world of work taxonomy. Here, just a short example, the task itself. We subdivided the task in technical task and non-technical task. On the other hand, from the world of education, we have the competence. Now split down to more meta competences like effective communication, technical expertise, problem solving, personal credibility, and result orientation. And all of those competences on a meta level are used to solve certain specific tasks. They are either technical or non-technical. But as this is a more technical based company and we are focusing here on technical tasks, we subdivide in this example here technical expertise down to applied mechanics and mechatronics, as well as equipment competency. Just a short example here. And now we have to reason from this world of education to the world of work. And this is done by the semantic link I described before. It requires enables. So in order to show you the next step, I have to give you a short introduction to the use case itself. We are talking here about the ion implantation phase of the wafer fabrication, quite a rather complex term. To paint a picture in your head, in the ion implantation, particles are accelerated to very high speeds, like in the CERN particle accelerator. And then you shoot those particles, it's called implantation, into a silicium crystalline structure in order to get the semiconductor properties you want to achieve. And we started with with the first step here with an explorative analysis of processes and task descriptions in maintenance of a certain machine and tool park. So we looked at all those maintenance tasks which have been done on machines, on ion implantation machines. For this, we used the text corpora of the maintenance reports and then applied an artificial intelligence method called text mining in order to extract the tasks itself from the maintenance reports. For example, beam adjusted, source changed, plasma fluid gun changed. And all of those tasks are connected to causes. So like if you change, you can change a beam, adjust a beam because there was a beam tune issue. And with this combination, you can you have a specific technical task. This is the world of work. On the other hand, in the world of education and with our job holder profiles, we have just an example, two roles. The system engineer, level 1, less experienced, and the level 2, more experienced. And now we want to know which system engineer do we need in order to solve a certain problem? Or the other question around which one of those would be better fit to solve a certain problem? Because you have more experience level 1 system engineers than system level 2 engineers. And this can be done by matching via a developed statistical learning algorithm where we can say a certain technical tasks, let's take beam tune, has a share of 20% effective communication, 60% technical expertise, and then 20% problem solving. So we know from data that such a share of competences is needed here. And then we can break this down to applied mechatronics and competence, equipment competency levels. And these levels give us, for example, the enterprise specific job role needed for a certain task. So we can reason from the tasks executed on job floor to the job roles needed in order to solve such a task. Let me show you how this works in real life in the Infinium project. Now you can see the demonstrator developed by us. On the upper right-hand side, you can once again see the taxonomy with the task from the world of work and the course itself and the world of education. And now you can add a task in the task field and choose a course and then get the allocation of the competences. And here, for example, with beam adjusted, we have 70% technical expertise, 50% problem solving, 11% effective communication. This is with a rather classic task, but if this is a more rare task itself, the technical competence, technical expertise level drops down and you need more problem solving, more effective communication. Therefore, you need a more experienced person because this person needs far more problem solving skills than classic technical skills to solve the problem. And then there are two pie charts. They give you more detailed information, for example, that the beam tune makes up 1.6% of all tasks at Infineon. And from the task beam tune itself, there are 30% have the same cause. These are just the rare numbers, but which questions can be answered with a demonstrator like this? And with Infineon and with this methodology itself, we are able to answer three types of questions. Namely, we can ask from the competence side, with given competences, which job profiles can be fulfilled, and with given competences, which tasks can be performed. But we can also ask from the other side, with a given job profile, what competences are needed and which tasks can be executed. Or we even ask from the competence side and ask which tasks serve which job profile and which task needs which competences. And these questions and the answers to those give you and your enterprise the benefit of transparency. So we can really detect competence gaps on the shop floor because we have we really know which competences are needed in the daily business, and we can give those statements on the basis of quantitative statements of the competence requirements. So we always say that the data knows more about the processes than the people working there itself. And this leads me to the start of our discussion. What's the situation in your company? And we would be happy to discuss this with you and explore together the possibilities of such competency gap detection. Thank you very much.
So thank you, Linus. So you have seen the example of the data and the idea behind of this, that how the data could bring us to the point that we are um, analyzing our competences. From the innovation level, I could say that it's a kind of an innovative approach, but needs to be assessed in which area and in which company this is really applicable beside of the other tools that we have. And to discuss this, I would like to hand over the words to my colleague Sebastian Schlund so that we open the discussion round.
Yeah,